DJ, how are you?
Spring ski.
I'm good, Angie. How are you?
Good. I guess we've been recording this whole time. So that's fun. Might pause it, restart it, and see if that'll be like a spot to it.
I will call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
All right, wait. Commissioner Forster, Commissioner List,
Present.
Commissioner Petroselli,
Present.
Meyer,
Here.
Seal, here, Mayor Clark,
Here.
and Chairperson Montague.
Here, thank you. I will turn it over to you.
We have TJ Delubac with Community Planning Strategies on the screen. Hey, TJ.
Hello.
TJ knows all of you, I believe. Met all of you.
Did you say something again,
Just
TJ?
thinking about Therese. And then
Hello.
Lee taking minutes.
His volume's a little low.
One moment, TJ, we're gonna turn up.
Hello. Oh. Can you hear me now? Is that any better?
What do you guys think? That's decent.
Yeah,
I'll let
sounds
you know if
good.
I can't hear you.
Okay, I guess it sounds okay. We will let you know if it doesn't. So I am going to turn it over to TJ for our work session, our targeted code updates work session.
All
Sounds
right.
good?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, DJ.
Yep. Good to see you all again. And it's I don't know that I've ever been here with the owl, and it's just I'm trying to pin it and see everyone, and I can't do it anymore. So, yeah, very nice. Look at that high-tech stuff. So,
Hope it's not making you car sick.
not yet, not yet. Um, uh, so yeah, it's been a little bit since I've seen you all, and we've been working behind the scenes and everything on this. So what we wanted to do was bring you an update this month. I know we were supposed to come back last month. Um, and so here we are, June 16th, giving you a quick update. And let's just jump in. Feel free to stop me along the way. Sorry, I'm just getting my screen situated. Oh, there we go. That worked. Stop me along the way for conversation. But we will have plenty of time, hopefully, at the end. My hope is to kind of go through this. It's what we talked about in the what we presented in the memo, and then we have a dialogue afterwards. But if you have clarifications along the way, please feel free to stop me. So I want to talk about a project overview again. You know, it's been a little bit since we talked about what we were doing for this project. We'll talk about a community engagement plan for this project. It's going to be a little bit of a different scope than we've done in the past, the work that I've done. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the amendments that we're talking about, that we're proposing, and work session topics. And we'll talk, that might make a little bit more sense after we talk through it, what those mean, and then the project timeline. So first, this project is a little bit different than the previous ones that from a code standpoint, we've really kind of been really targeted, focused, and making a lot of technical kind of updates. This one, we're trying to bring in a lot of different elements through both the master plan, the recent housing needs assessment, the land analysis that we did a few years ago, and the community housing policies. A lot has been happening. Gosh, just looking back, so much has been happening on the policy front, if you will, right? Thinking about longer term policies, vision, those types of things. And now we're just, and the second to last bullet of addressing lessons learned. Sorry, everything okay there? Sorry, Michelle. The owl's honing in on you, and it looks like either I'm too loud or too soft.
Now it's too loud.
adjust anything, so.
Maybe you're just speaking up.
I am. I was trying to speak a little bit louder. I'll just push that up a little bit.
That's perfect, thank you.
Yep. And so really what we're doing now is taking a lot of what we experienced over the last few years, and trying to address those through lessons learned, with the recent developments that are coming in, as well as the policies that have been going on, and just the environment, just the regulatory environment as a whole. So that's what we're really kind of focusing on in some of these. And in order to do that, we're taking a little bit of a different approach that, yes, we're still doing those technical updates that need to happen. And that's a lion's share of this. But there are also these other components that, where the town has been going with, if you will, with these recent conversations, and where the code is right now, the land use regulations in particular, right, is what we're talking about, Chapter 7. We want to make sure that they're aligned on some specific items. And so we're taking this technical, major, and policy approach. And so the goal for tonight is to talk through what those major and policy issues are that we've identified so far, talk about the process moving forward. And I'll refer back to this diagram on the right, this feedback loop, if you will, whereas there's a process of drafting, discussing with you all, then revising, and then kind of getting out into the public in some way. And depending on whether it's technical policy technical major or policy, will depend on what we do in that. And so what we're proposing from an engagement standpoint, of course, this is not like the affordable housing the community housing policy discussions. This is much more technical, much more in the weeds, so we have to tailor it a little bit different. So what we really want to try to do is identify those stakeholders, those people who are interested in land use regulations, who developers, builders, those types of folks in the community, and really start engaging them through information sharing and posting stuff. So first, identify those stakeholders. Identify email lists is generally a good way to do that. But if there's another strategy to reach out to them, we could. So here are just ideas, right? Posting on the town website. Sometimes when we do these types of projects, we just set up a website and we house everything there, and people can come and look at it. Social media posts, letting people know what we're doing and why. The lion's share of this work, though, is going to be happening right here, work sessions with you all. And then we do have a few community engagement events planned for a couple of the topics. And in particular, we're still looking at hoping to have the July 9th concert in the park, or the concert series, maybe have an event there. So that's generally it from a little bit of a higher level on the engagement side. Now, when we talk about each of these areas, each of these, the technical, the major, or the policy, will have different engagement levels. So the technical, really what it is these are technical updates that we're going to make some, myself, Angie, our team will work on making, reviewing and updating. We'll make what we call annotated red lines, send them to you all, but really we're expecting that if you have questions, you'll bring them to us. We're not really going to be talking about them. If there are major concerns that are brought up, we can elevate them and have discussions. But really it's hey, you guys let us know if everything's looking good on those. On the major side, we'll do a lot of the same things, those first two, but then what we'll do in these discussions is actually talk about them, right? We'll kind of walk through, not necessarily the details of all of them, but the concepts and what we're trying to do with them and why they're there, right? So that we have a little bit extra engagement on that. And we'll probably ask you to provide some feedback, and then we'll utilize that feedback loop component. That diagram we talked about. And then when it comes to the policy side, the larger topics, the big part is going to be a community engagement event or element, plus that community discussion into that feedback loop. So it'll be a little bit more tailored, if you will, to reach out to those stakeholders. Any questions on that so far? Again, that was very quick, a lot of stuff, but hopefully just procedural to
And it
set
was
the
in our
stage.
packet.
Yep. Okay. So again, these are in your packet, but just what we want to talk about are just the major and the policy amendments. So I won't go through these in particular, but they're all jumping ahead a little bit. What you'll see are these are some of the specifics, and then we'll talk about a conversation around a group of them. But removing things out of the code so that they're simpler to administer. We talked about this, right? The appropriate level of approval, whether it's planning commission, town council, or administrative. A big part is looking into the historic business, historic residential, and the DS zone, the downtown service zone, and start looking at those elements in particular. So any questions about the major amendments? At a higher level, we'll dive back in. I just, again, want to kind of get that framework. Yep.
I have a question. We're talking about changing the dimensional standards in HB and HR. Is that what we're talking about?
Potentially, yes. Yep. And those would be setbacks and heights and lot coverage and lot size, right? Those types of things. When it comes to the policy side, we're talking about zone districts. And then the analysis of I'm starting to really like this term, historic development patterns and forms of the town. And that could be a lot of different things. But identifying what that is and then how we can implement it through different policies or standards. And then looking at the residential, commercial, and industrial design standards, the architectural elements that when we did this last, we just kind of threw them together in a bucket over here and said, we'll deal with them later. And now's later. So we're gonna deal with those. All right. And so those are kind of more of the specific sections that we'll be working with and topics in the code. But while in order to work through them, we're not going to be going through necessarily the specifics and through the code, start to finish, if you will, page 1, page 2, so on. We're going to be talking about them in topics. And so the topics that we have kind of bucketed these together with are talking about zone districts, talking about lodging types, the subdivision process and requirements for each of those processes. Public improvements will come into play there. And then this kind of catch-all topic of what is historic development form in Ridgway? And are we doing everything that we can to get there? The project timeline at the moment. So here we are on June 17th. And the idea here is to set that path, right? So here's where we are, here's where we want to go, and are we good to get there this way? We talked about the community engagement event on the 9th, and really because of the concept of it being early on, we're trying to get some input. So we'd go with, hey, here's what pictures of the town look like, here's what the zoning is, and really it's just kind of talking about the topics with the community and getting some initial feedback. Then these, oh, yep.
Do you feel like you're gonna get much feedback at the concert series? I know that we had our consultants there for the housing needs assessment, and I don't recall that they got a lot of feedback. I don't know that people want to stop and talk about something serious. I'll refer to Angie.
It was when we were doing the housing needs assessment survey, and the survey was lengthy, if you might remember.
Okay.
So we had QR codes posted around the park, and we had a booth set up, and we reminded people to take the survey, whether or not they did it right then and there, or maybe they put it on their list in their brain. I don't know. I really don't know like what the outcomes of that engagement were, but having people sit down and like do a paper survey, that didn't really happen. We had maybe 2, but people doing it digitally, maybe they went home after and did it.
Okay, so you think that we might get considerable, like who's doing this event?
Well, TJ will be in town. We haven't talked specifically about what sort of engagement we're going to capture, but it won't be it probably won't be a lengthy survey. You know, there could be like little questions, you know how we do the boards with the notes and things like that. Something like that, or maybe it could be
Yeah.
smart codes. I don't know, TJ.
I'm just putting it
Yeah.
out there, you guys can do what you want, I just don't know that you're gonna get what you're looking for at that event.
Sure. Thank you.
No, that's good to know. And yeah, you know, these are always challenging. And on top of that, it's policy stuff. It's code writing, if you will. That's never a really engaging component. The idea here really is to let people know more so than get feedback, per se. You know, to just don't, you know, provide. I want a 6-foot setback instead of a 5-foot setback, right? Those kind of things.
No, I think it's helpful.
I'm sorry.
I think it's helpful.
What
I think
is?
Letting people know.
doing the concert
Oh.
series.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to, you know, remember that it isn't like a survey, it's just some general information. I think we should have some little cards with like, I'm
Mhm.
guessing the website they can go to, get more information. I think it's a great way to get the message out. People walk all along that sidewalk out here and look at what's going on, and we've got, you know, anywhere from a few hundred to 1,000 people in one of the parks. I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think the other part is that I don't know, I hope it's still a locals event. You know, to share with those who really are in the community. And we'll have like little questions. And again, we've done this a little bit where it's just, you know, dot surveys. So it takes just a couple minutes and throw a couple dots on maps and stuff. So but yeah, and the other part of doing it early on, we can gauge whether or not we got good feedback or need to engage further on any specific topic. So it's also just a good data gathering opportunity, to see what people care about, what they are concerned about, if you will, early on in that process.
I wonder if we could run that into farmer's market the next day and kind of see if we get a little more involvement.
Hmm.
On Friday, you know, people are a little more kicked back at the farmer's market, they have a little more time, a little less drunk too.
Well, and there's not loud music playing.
Not loud music.
Yeah, yeah, certainly.
That's a great idea. I don't know, I don't wanna, you know, overcommit your time, but
It might be a better opportunity than the music. You know, I just worked at the, volunteered for the Love Your Valley. And the entry booth was set up somewhere near the stage and I couldn't hear people talking at all. It was
Mhm.
loud. So you guys can do what you want, I'm just putting it out there.
Yep, no, that's good feedback. And Angie and I can talk and figure out what we want to do. And of course, understanding, you know, the situations and the circumstances of both of those, they're both going to be different groups too. So so yeah, we're going to have kind of an engagement event early on, right? Is the point there, kind of get some input, get some feedback, get some engagement, get some education out there. And then what we'll be doing with you all, so that's July. In August, we'll come back with you all and start having monthly conversations on each of those topics. So there'll be, you can imagine that we'll talk about some of those major components maybe, but then really focusing in on these topics that are kind of all encompassing, if you will. And so we tried to group these together so that we can have some light conversations and then build on those on each other month to month. So first starting with zoning districts and lodging types, and that's probably also the land use table. And then in September, focusing on the subdivision and public improvement processes. And then last, kind of bringing that all together into what creates kind of that historic development pattern or form in Ridgway. And then bringing it kind of all back to you in a more comprehensive document or update in November. And then we put in here tentatively a work session with town council, just to have that dialogue with them. Since again, a code document, they're gonna, or these updates, they're going to have to adopt also. So just bringing them in on that process once we kind of have a chance to go through all of the elements. What I didn't put on here after that, and what I put in the memo, was that we'll make a decision point around there, right? What's the next steps? How do we adjust to what we heard? Do we need to kind of circle back on a couple of things? Or can we, proceed? So at least that gets everything out there, all of the topics, the communication, and then we can move forward from that December date. And then whether it's hearings or more work sessions, we go from there. So that is all that I had on just the conversation, or at least the presentation, sorry, and wanted to then go back and had a couple of questions, and I probably should have made a slide on this, but one, what's that timeline look like? How does that feel? Two, any feedback on the major topics, the policy topics, or the discussion topics?
So are we gonna take the dimensional requirements zone by zone, or we're gonna do them all in one meeting, or how do you see approaching that?
Yeah, so typically we like to do those kind of together because, if you will, Angie and I talked about this a little bit, I think. We like to put these in like a spectrum and show you almost on like a chart, like how do these all relate to each other? Because if you just look at one zone district, you're only seeing a piece of the puzzle. So we'll talk about all of it together and kind of how each zone district fits into the bigger whole. And then how do we turn some of those knobs to make sure that we're attracting or creating what we want on each of them.
Did you have general commercial in those zone districts? I thought you just had HB and.
Yeah.
Industrial.
So there's two elements to this. One is looking at the historic districts, right? The other is looking at the zone districts as a whole. So when I talk
about dimensional standards, we're talking about the historic districts and their form. And then when we're talking about zoning districts in general, it's kind of just everything in uses in those zones more than dimensional standards. I don't foresee us changing dimensional standards in general, personally.
Yeah.
It might come up, but that's not really what that's getting at, I guess. Is that right, TJ?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, when we start looking at how it all fits together, that will probably be the case.
What is historic development form in Ridgway? What does that mean?
So, do you want me to go into this,
Yeah.
TJ?
Yeah, go for it. I knew that question was going to come up.
Of the original platting and the layouts of Ridgway, the alleys, thinking about how the alleys are actually used. If they're used appropriately, we have a lot of alley loaded opportunity. The setbacks are much less at the alley than they would be for the street frontage. So making sure people understand that to maximize your lot, you could do alley loaded properties. And the historic development form is essentially, the originally platted lots. Okay. And the grid.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really apply to Solar Ranges, Parkside, River Park, River Sage, Bissell Terrace, all those newly established neighborhoods. It's all talking about the historic town port. Walkability, connectivity, how the alleys are used, how the streets are used. All of that.
Putting that into a little bit of context with the lessons learned is that what we're kind of, from a more tangible standpoint, we're looking at the relationship between land use, pedestrian connection, and vehicular access, kind of those, and then the public improvements that are necessary to meet those, right? Those are the components of it that we're really trying to dive into.
We might bring some fun planning concepts to you. It's about human scale versus auto scale, things like that. We'll talk about all of that as we have it.
Wow.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be interesting. I find it very interesting. Sounds interesting.
great.
So what does everybody think about the timeline that TJ proposed?
Great, let's get started.
So just to be clear, next month, we will not be seeing any code updates or red lines.
Mhm.
It
Why
will
not?
begin in August. Just because we're preparing for August, I guess.
You don't wanna jump in too quickly.
Yeah, well, we wanted to get your feedback here and then obviously take some time to digest it.
Are we gonna have the July meeting?
We should we'll hopefully get some public feedback and present what we're doing to the public and get people engaged. And then August is when we'll dig into those first two topics. You asked if we're gonna have a meeting in July. Yeah, very likely, yes. I'm hoping some applications are ready for July.
Another reason for not a meeting in July is that we have the engagement of the outreach that we want to be able to, we're going to be focused on kind of preparing for that, getting that going, and then getting some feedback and kind of analyzing, if you will, what we hear back and then getting going on it. The other thing is, you have two things in your, oh, what's that?
Just, the feedback thing, as you see, the audience is empty. Like we find it difficult to
Oh.
get feedback.
So don't think of it as feedback, think of it as us putting out
Education.
there what we're going to be doing, and if someone's interested, they know where to.
So that no one can say, oh, no, you guys don't do this all
Yeah.
in sequence.
Exactly.
Okay.
And oh, go ahead.
Just to say that, of course.
I didn't hear anything about this.
Sorry, TJ.
You bring those dates back up.
TJ, do you mind
Oh.
sharing the dates again?
Sure.
I would think, the QR code, you can literally plaster those everywhere.
Mhm.
In the newspaper, online, at booths, in the farmer's market. I mean, if the access is easy, and like you said, they can do it whenever they feel like it. And then it's less human time of somebody sitting somewhere trying to collect energy and input.
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah, I would say if you can do it, just
Yeah.
QR codes. Everyone, we can tweak them in.
At the same time, the key to getting the message out about anything these days is to cover as many bases as you can.
Yeah.
Some people know about QR codes, a lot of people don't. There's so many different platforms. It used to be all hit. I was a kid, you took out an ad in the paper and that was it. Now it's like, but TikTok and.
So it used to be easier before the age of information.
Is that what you're saying?
Creating a monster. But I think as long as we're strategic about getting the message out, that's why I think the concert series and the farmers market, as much as we can, as we have bandwidth for, is gonna reach the most number of people.
So when you start, I know you open the concerts, are you gonna bring that up and
Absolutely.
say, hey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
John's gonna give us a plug, yay.
And then you're gonna announce the.
That's right.
farmer's market too.
Don't-
And then
Donate.
intermissions, it's, oh, hey, well. I'm trying to-
Say, go get TJ some grief.
That's right. Big guy in the
Give
corner.
them a piece of your mind.
Well, I don't know if we can play him into it, but my kids will be there too, so maybe we'll play the cute factor or something.
So talk to you about affordability.
So,
I don't know, bowl of candy, I don't know, whatever.
yeah.
I think the timeline looks doable. I mean, I consider it going, I hate thinking about October, November, December right now.
Yeah.
Is the year's over?
Because this time of year is so precious and I just want to
Yeah.
enjoy every moment and to be thinking about October, November, December is like, no.
I'm not here in
We've done it
September.
before, we just
Sorry,
started,
Jack, sending you on.
I'll zoom in from the
Jack was saying he's not gonna be here.
in September.
Yeah, if anyone
That's it.
can't make a meeting, just email me beforehand so that we know, and
That's.
hopefully Michelle too, just CC Michelle, she's the kid. Think you're aware.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
You can have my vote.
maybe not November, but. We'll see.
No, TJ, in all seriousness, this is great. Let's do it.
We're raring to go.
And this is the, as I was reading the packet, I'm like, this is the place to have those conversations, because by the time we get to council, they have agendas full of all different things, and they just don't have the bandwidth to look at this really closely like we do, which is why the planning commission exists. So
Mhm.
we're happy to do something. It's been a little quiet for a while.
We do the heavy lifting.
You
Right.
you guys have us so trained that when you show up with an assignment, we just say, okay, let's go.
Well, I got an assignment then for you, because in their packet there were two attachments. One, the outline, the new outline, and two, the design regulations for residential, commercial, and industrial.
So the
Um,
outline being kind of like the table of index looking thing?
Correct. Yep. And so it's not annotated, but you can start seeing how it's going to structure. And one of the it's twofold. One, from a usability standpoint and modernization standpoint, setting it up so that it's a little bit more user friendly, that people know where documents are and where regulations are. And then two, what we really the catalyst for it is that the layering that we use, that hierarchy, doesn't fit well with Muni code. So it's moving everything essentially one layer up with some shuffling around. So it'll play into what we talk about, but that is a fundamental component of this. So take a look at it. See if that flow is making some sense, see what might go in different places. And then so study that up and study the design standards. We're not asking you at the moment to dive in and edit them, but things like, does it feel like it's right? Is this too much? Is it not enough? What's important? What do we want to focus on, right, when it comes to architectural design? And those will be kind of throughout this process, but that's kind of a catalyst, right? The visual component of, hey, I like more windows, or I like angled, gabled roofs, or I like flat roofs and zero setbacks, right? Windows, those types of things are the things that as you all go through the code and say, I like this or I don't like this, our job is to turn that into policy and rules and standards and regulations. So start thinking in that frame, and we can then take those feelings, those observations, and turn them into standards or rules.
John, I might need your input on this, but I'm gonna suggest that I think people can download this from Dropbox and then make notes on it, right, on their computer, so people don't have to print this out. I'm just making this point because maybe everyone doesn't know that
I always
they can
download
do that.
Dropbox.
And you can highlight things and do stuff like that, and that way you don't have to print it all.
Deckelprint.
Right, but
Or just look at it and put some notes on a
On a
different
separate
page or in an
piece, yeah.
email. You don't even
I
have
just
to
wrote it on the screen.
annotate on, just run it on the computer screen. Permanent marker.
Um.
Mhm.
Not online, but I have I have.
So we just put that in there for things for you all to chew on and think about for when we convene again. And
great.
dig into some of this.
This is gonna be fun.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the thing, like, if we're not constantly working on this and it's not a living document, it's outdated.
Mhm.
Like,
That's
that's very
very
true, like, as soon as we finish working on this section,
Yeah.
You gotta come back around.
And especially if we're not doing a master plan revision, we have to keep doing this.
Great. That's it?
TJ, what was your second question for the
It was
timeline?
I think it was the two parts.
Oh, yeah, and it was the questions about the major and the
Oh, yeah,
policy
run that
items.
Just, I know this
Um,
has it too,
Yeah, it's stuff.
maybe where there's divided into
Yeah. It's all in the same document.
Yeah.
The first part is the.
If you're, sorry, I'll go to the one with the 3 sections on it, the one that's under community engagement, if you don't mind.
Then it's-
yeah, and I mean, really, what I think it's gonna come down to is these 5 topics that we talk about. We'll touch on everything, And the idea is to try to have, as I said, like if you all come to these conversations, not saying, okay, I want to talk about this zone district and this setback, but understanding the context of how it fits into the entire code, and how it fits in the real world, right? Like, what does a 10-foot setback look like? What does a 3-story building look like? Right? Those types of things. And how does that create the character of the community, if you will? If we can start having those conversations at these meetings, that will give us the tools that we need to go back and make meaningful and hopefully, hitting the target on those policies and drafting the regulations.
One of the things that has come up that Jack, I'm surprised isn't mentioning, because this is one of his things, was, we had that whole, Four Winds proposal. Is that the name of it? Out there
Oh,
on
yeah.
And there was some talk that we should be looking at that kind of zoning and updating it, changing it as appropriate so that we're not faced with a similar application when it just can't fly out there. Right?
Yep.
I don't remember how exactly that would work, but I know Jack was like, maybe we should be changing the zonings on places like that so that we're not faced with that sort of thing again.
I think what Jack said is that we should zone stuff to direct the development where we want it, instead of having the TC is the only place you can put residential in town. We should have residentially zoned property to direct developers to build houses where we want them. So we have,
That's zoning.
yeah, that's what zoning's for. There's no residential zoning in this town today, period,
Provided zone.
for development. Besides the infill lots,
Do you mean
Oh, okay.
multifamily?
other than
We
Charles,
have residential zoning in.
so there's no infill lots.
He's separating infill lots from larger.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Some
Yeah, and I-
infill lots slightly larger, but not.
Developers not gonna come in and buy 5 or 6 acre lots. I'm talking about something like the Riverview project or Charles's project or one of
Right.
the along the development.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why we want to have that conversation first of the zone districts and logic types, those kind of fit together. And just the various uses and just have that high level conversation of, and I think you really enjoy if, I don't know, I put you guys on the same spectrum as me of code nerds to some level, maybe not quite as bad, but,
Some of us more than others.
what's that?
I said some of us more than others.
Yeah. I saw Michelle's eye roll. But I think,
I roll on the owl.
yeah.
I was talking, the owl looks at.
I'm gonna put my
So
son
you're having
Yeah.
sound
But no, I think what we'll do, and to your point, both Michelle and Jack, that what we'll do is we'll take the kind of the standards in the zone districts and kind of lay them out in the spectrum and say, yeah, this is what you have a lot of, this is what you don't have a lot of. And we did that from a market standpoint a few years ago with that land use analysis where we said, hey, there's plenty of land. But to your point, Jack, maybe it's not the right land in the right locations, right? But the code allows for it. So it's trying to strike that balance. And I guarantee you, we won't hit all of it, right? We won't get the silver bullet, but we're moving that needle and allowing for more opportunity and making sure that anybody who comes into town has an opportunity to do something along those lines. And so, to your point, maybe we are missing some property that doesn't have the density that we'd like. And so we need to extend that a little bit. Maybe similarly, we don't want the low density that we did in the past, and we want to increase that a little bit, right? There's also a thing called obsolete zone districts. I'm just throwing this out there, that what you could do is say, hey, this zone district can stay, but nobody can zone to this district again, right? And what we don't want to do, though, is create non-conforming zone districts, properties. Be really cautious through that process as well. When you get into the zone districts, you start really getting a little bit, you have to be careful when you come to those things. So we'll be keeping a keen eye towards that through this process as well.
DJ, it kind of sounds like one of the things we're gonna need to talk about is the idea of a form-based code.
I think it's worth the conversation.
I mean, it's just how many of you know what a form-based code is?
I like it.
It's, I mean, I just looked it up to give you the kind of the definition. Form-based zoning is a method of regulating land development that focuses on physical form of buildings and their relationship to the
Yeah.
public spaces, rather than strictly separating land use. So you get away from
Yeah.
district method, and you kind of make everything the same zone, and then your code is designed to allow things based on the geography of the lot, the neighboring properties, the size of the neighboring buildings. It's all about form and consistency of form, things like that. It's a really kind of, not that long ago, it was kind
It's
of late.
newish, yeah. It's
Latest
like a
rate.
new exciting, there's some exciting new examples of
Yeah.
how that works really well in places. That would be a very large
It
change
would
for
be a
Ridgway.
huge lift, but I mean,
Yeah.
it would address some of Jack's concerns, and I suggest we at least
Talk about it.
talk
Mhm.
about it. And I encourage all of you to kind of look it up and read and see some examples.
What if we started off with like, that could be, I'm gonna say an exception, I don't know what the right word is, but you could come to the planning commission and say, hey, I wanna do this different thing. And we could evaluate it, that might be a place to start with it,
I wonder
as
if anybody's
opposed to
doing
changing
that
our code.
hybrid form-based combined with zoning districts or something.
I mean, we have the design standards that are appended to your packet, and we have deviations to those design standards, and they talk about a lot of things, and then we have variances from,
Variance.
yeah, we have variances and deviations. Deviations are for the design standards, variances are for the dimensional standards. So there is flexibility in the code if you want to go through the process of explaining how what your design is meets other town goals or meets the master plan, or, you know, generally protects the life, safety and welfare of Ridgway and keeps the character. So there's some of that built in, but it's definitely not a form-based code. It's just.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out that there are those flexible things for the savvy developer. And I'm also available to help the savvy developer get through that process, you know? But, yeah, a form-based code switching would be a huge, huge effort. I do think it's worth talking about, but we do have to do what we budgeted for and intended for this year. And if maybe form-based comes out of it for years in the future, I don't know. Sorry, now I'm rambling.
We don't mind.
Fair, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all interesting to me as a planner. Planning encompasses so many things. So. I'm open to talking about a lot of different things, but I will also mention that if anyone has like a special interest in any of these topics, I've got a ton of planning books and planning magazines and things like that around this that you're welcome to. I can point you in the right direction if you're interested in learning more about any specific planning concept or topic. So just putting that out there.
So deviation is when you come to us and you want to do something slightly different. A variance is more of a
So
big deal.
deviations are only to the design standards that are in the code, which are also appended to your memo. And there might be mention of other deviations throughout the code. I'll also put in here that some planned unit developments have a note on the plat for a deviation process or a variance process if someone doesn't want to meet the standards of the planned unit development. Not all, not River Park, but like La Ranch. Remember we brought that fence permit to you guys because there was a deviation process set up on their PUD plans. So we can use deviation kind of broadly, but when we're talking about our code, and what's in the code, I'm referring to the design standards. Does that make sense?
Yes. What else you got, TJ?
I think that's it for right now. That was really helpful to get into some of the context of what's in there. And I guess the other thing I would just say is that um, we I think entering this, we just need to be aware that everybody has probably a different perspective and idea of what each of these words and these concepts mean. And so we want to spend the time to understand those and clarify them. So especially when we start talking about, character per se. So that's why those are the things that we want to focus on the time on, and everything else, homework, right, Pam? Everybody's got homework assignments for the next 4 months. Read the code. The thing I would also say, because you don't have, I was hoping to have some additional stuff in your packet for this month. Didn't happen. One of the things that we'll be working on is identifying, basically getting you a red line version of the proposed code, right? With a new structure that outlines, so really understand that. We've already put it in that, and we started doing the red lines of the technical updates. And so we want to try to get those to you as soon as possible also. So you can start reading the technical updates. And in there too, we've highlighted, and we will highlight the areas and the edits that we think will be major or policy, right? To help you see the specifics of the code that we might be changing or talking about in those topics. So that's another reason to give a little bit of front end leeway, that we'll get those over to you so that, and again, if everybody's kind of at least has that in the back of your mind, aware of and able to come prepared to these discussions, they'll go faster and more productive. Well, I shouldn't say they're going to go faster. You come prepared, we might have deep conversations on topics, but that's also good.
That's all chapter 7.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. So does that make sense to everyone? We will be like pushing materials out to you further ahead of planning commission meetings, not necessarily, I mean, the packet will still be on Fridays, but if we have red line materials that we want you all to be immersed in beforehand, we'll try to send those to you as early as we can. And that's another reason for our, skipping July.
Yeah, that's great to get it ahead of time.
Do we have applications in July, maybe?
I'm hoping so.
I am too. I'm excited.
Yeah, last month was so exciting. I want to do that again.
Well, I'm not gonna say.
Can I ask a totally, maybe unrelated question? I don't really know.
Go for it.
The event that was at the Naval a couple of weeks ago.
Yes,
Um,
for the housing action plan.
housing action plan. What exactly was that and how does that fit in? And like, there were graphs and I was like, I don't even understand these graphs. It wasn't TJ, it was the Points Consulting. How does that wrap into this too?
So our housing needs assessment that was adopted in December, so I think before your time on the commission. There was a whole, public outreach process related to that. We did a big survey, we did a bunch of public outreach events. The housing action plan is like the next step. We know what our needs are from the housing needs assessment. Now we need to create the action plan to address those needs.
Okay.
So again, that was sort of getting the consultants out there, getting them familiar with Ridgway, having people have a place to, put their housing concerns down. But also letting people know that that's a project in process. And if there are
That's required
interested,
by the state, right? And we're getting funding from the state to do
Okay.
it. That's not something that we just thought up here. We're like, let's go do this.
I don't it's like out there by itself. I don't really understand where it's fitting in.
It's about community housing more.
Okay.
so it will fit into this a lot, I think. I mean, if we're determining through our process that there needs to be more density in certain zones, or the setbacks can be minimized to accommodate ADUs, which seem to be supported based on all the feedback we've got from all of the housing outreach that we've done. Then it will directly attempt to address our housing needs.
Okay.
But the action plan is going to be like actionable, like check them off, you know, like an actual implementation plan for how to meet certain housing needs. And it's not all like stuff that the town has to do. We're looping in partners, we're looping in stakeholders, we're looping in developers from lands far away if they wanna read our housing action plan and see how they can.
But it's for affordable or community housing, that's what that's about.
Well, considering our housing needs assessment identified that we need housing across the board, it is to address all of those needs.
Yeah.
That's my concern. I mean, all that we were able to work with is what we've called this the old mining lots of the historic town plat. We can't change the three major PUDs for this board, can we? I mean, three major PUDs is Solar Ranch, River Park and Parkside. I mean, whatever, we change all the setbacks we want, lot size, everything. We don't change those PUDs. We only will change.
Not without buy-in from the homeowners association and those organizations that created the PUDs to have their own specific standards. But as you probably know, or we've mentioned in the past, like some of the HOA representatives are attempting to align more closely with town code. And I think that throughout this process, we might have an opportunity to engage you know, HOA boards in like a group discussion to just educate them on what the town is doing and why. Basic planning concepts, things like that. You know, obviously we're doing the ADU related stuff, so accessory dwelling unit. We're an accessory dwelling unit supportive jurisdiction. We have a certification from DOLA that says so. But yes, some of the PUDs don't support ADUs. We can help educate on why they should, but some of those things would require a PUD amendment, which is a process that they need to initiate.
So I think that's a great idea, but that, in all of our scheduling, then see where we're reaching out to those at the HOAs. And I think it's critical. I think my experience is all those HOAs want to be involved and they're pretty naive. And I don't mean that as a slam, they're pretty naive to the, what's going on in this board. And I think it's our job to educate them, and I think it's our job to include them.
So for the stakeholder email list, HOA representatives should be added to that is basically.
I'm not sure, I don't have a plan, I'm just saying, I'm just talking. I mean, I think maybe we should have an open house for the HOAs or something like that. I mean, I'll do some talking in the HOAs I know, but I think they want to be included and they don't know how to be included. So I think it's this commission's charge to figure that out.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, we had a conversation not too long ago, because Chantal and I were having a similar conversation about River Park and Parkside and what do we do here, and what do we do here, and how does that work with the town, and saying, you know, can we get together as a group? You know, all the HOA people and say, you know, how do we fit in, how do ADUs work, how do we change things, and you know, because we don't know what we're doing on Parkside.
I talk to Chantel 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay. Well, good points.
Yeah, I mean, I guess building on that, if as you're thinking through and have a contact, right? So one of the top things that we want to be doing is developing that stakeholder list. So let us know. There's no harm in sending somebody an email. They might not see it, but that's a great way to kind of start spreading some stuff too. So
I can do some stuff on the ground. I can talk, we got River Park and the Parkside, and we can, I don't know anybody's so rich, but I can figure it out very quickly.
Thank you.
You got it? I'm done. I'm going to. I got my first.
So TJ,
Okay.
thank you so much.
We need to, keep going.
I was just saying thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it, that's all you want to say.
Yeah.
I
You're welcome.
was going to, getting ahead of me to say that we couldn't end the meeting until we got an approval of the minutes. But TJ, thank
There's
you.
3 other items we can assign. Okay.
DJ, are you gonna be at CML next week?
Unfortunately, I'm not.
And will we be working with you on this, or, cause Max is gone? Is this
Mhm.
true?
Yep.
So you'll be working with us on this?
So you're stuck with me
Yay.
and
Like
Liz.
you. Thank you. Yeah. In spite of yourself.
You have to say something, say you like us back, TJ.
I've said it since day one and I mean it. I will never not work for Ridgway. I enjoy it. It's my community. So, yeah, looking forward to going on through this with you all, and it should be a fun process.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Let's see, next we have, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 20th.
Sorry, 1 second. Julie has a couple of little edits.
Oh, in case you all are correcting my grammar, maybe you're not, but well, I have the owl on me, maybe I'll tell you about my mistakes. So I said that Planner Kemp said that the two designations are and exactly correlate, and I changed that to exactly correlate. And the other ones are just additions of a couple commas for around clauses that you might not have even noted, so. In case you're,
I didn't notice any of those, so.
minor things, yes.
So if you want to approve them with the grammatical and minor changes that Julie pointed out.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone,
Abstain.
is it abstaining?
I think everyone was present last time.
If everyone is present, I'll vote.
Great, we're good, unanimous. Back to the agenda. Next, we have updates from planning staff. I'll hand it over to senior planner Angie Kemp.
Trace touched on some of the outreach that we did for the housing action plan. I think it was pretty successful. We had 3 different events. We had an evening like housing happy hour event and then 2 coffee events the next 2 days. Our consultants were here in town talking to people. I think they got some really good feedback, and they've actually drafted the community engagement initial part of the housing action plan. And a robust community engagement effort is required by DOLA. And there's DOLA guidance for how a housing action plan needs to be written, what needs to be in it, and the engagement that we need to do.
Was
So,
the engagement that they experienced robust?
yeah, but this was just one part of it. Yeah,
So how was the turnout at the other 2 events?
good, really good. Yeah, the coffee events were really nice. I met some people that I've never met before, you know, right? We were really trying to reach some renter community. And there were some people who were renters, and it was very interesting feedback. So, thank you for your participation.
I enjoyed it.
So I'd like to be a sponsor. So should we talk about that later?
We can talk about that later. Thank you. That's my only update. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any updates from planning commission members?
I just think that, including the HOA, I mean, I get a lot of activity on the HOA front about the ADUs. Parkside's going through some, changes where, not Parkside, River Park's going through some changes where, they're gonna take a vote to see if they really want to amend their ADU requirements to align with the town. And a lot of people want to, become, equal with the town requirements, and other people don't, which was surprising to me as a planning commission board member, to see the resistance to it. And I find that fascinating because I hadn't seen it before, but it's happening. So that's what I love, is it's kind of reverberating through the town and through the HOAs. And I think our opportunity to include them is real good.
So there's not, you don't think there's enough opposition to stuff?
I don't know, there was way more opposition than I expected.
Is there anything we could do to help? You know, for.
I'll keep my finger on it. I mean, what I hear is parking, and I've heard some density stuff, and we're built out, so I'll share what I hear. I hear a lot through the grapevines on that stuff, but I mean, I've been so ADU proponent for so many years, and to hear somebody didn't want it, I was like, what? You know, I was like shocked. You have to listen to them, and listen to their concerns was real interesting.
It's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of education needed, and a lot of misconceptions, I think, the old school kind of stuff of, you know, save our neighborhoods and don't let the poor people in.
Don't let those kinds of people.
Yeah, and where are they gonna
Oh,
farm?
yeah, it's definitely not my backyard.
Yeah.
Definitely. Backyard.
Well, and ideally, obviously, it's too late for there, and that stuff gets included when you're originally doing the plan, and so you're accommodating it.
Community
As opposed to
amendments
adding
are
on.
possible, but it takes a lot of political will and buy-in from the HOA.
So the commission here, in River Park, you're allowed to have ADUs, but you have to have a certain lot size. So
So it could be a garage apartment, right? So you get a garage, there are
If
many
you have-
it has to only be on certain size lots.
What's that? It has to be, you have to have like 10,000 square.
No,
feet.
9,250,
What is it?
9,250.
That goes 250, but it's not that many, like most of them are, you know, the majority or something.
No, it's only the big lots.
Yeah.
Oh, so is it more the people that have big lots that
Yes.
want it, and then the people that can't have an ADU are against it?
I don't like to do it, I don't really answer that yet.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think the most interesting thing is like to say, if we pass this, not everyone's gonna build an ADU. You know, so many people are gonna say ADUs anyway.
Yeah, I
Well,
keep
now
saying.
I didn't buy a River Park because I wanted to build an ADU and live in it, and that wasn't allowed, so I'm like, okay, I'm out.
I've heard that
Well,
from.
River Park has hired a lawyer, and the lawyer has said that the state has passed a law saying that the HOA is excluded.
Person.
ADUs.
I'm sorry.
So what does the HOA do about that? They don't know how to handle. So they're trying to digest the impact.
Your parks.
It's not now, yeah.
Yeah.
I was, I know.
Yeah, we have-
Angie, as always, we appreciate you.
I appreciate all of you, thank you all for being here on a gorgeous
Thanks,
day.
everybody.
Anyone else? Mr. Lisk, I haven't heard anything from you.
Hi.
Got anything?
Just relaxing down there.
Jack's trying to grab my hammer. I'm gonna get it
Push
back
the
in
envelope
his.
closer to you. Push the envelope. Anyway, I like it when you do that.